Hello, wonderful people. Are the thoughts and the beliefs that are in your head affecting how likely it is that you have sex, the type of sex that you end up having, whether or not it's satisfying, and whether or not your partners are satisfying? Short answer is yes, of course it does. We're going to talk about the map of consciousness and how it affects all of the things that I just said. And the map of consciousness is something that I've talked about quite a lot in this channel. I talk about it in my Play to Win video course. It is essentially almost a hierarchy of emotions, where at the top you have the emotions that most of you would like to feel a lot more of, happiness, joy, love, excitement, rationality, stoicism, all of that. And then down the bottom, you have some of the emotions that I think most of you would agree can be a little bit painful. Things like fear, shame, guilt, apathy and depression, anger, frustration. And so generally speaking, I don't think I have to convince any of you that you would probably like to feel more of the higher level emotions. Pretty much goes without saying, doesn't it? But the emotions that you're currently feeling, along with the beliefs that you're thinking and believing, really shape more than just how you're feeling in that moment. They shape, like I said, if we're going to talk about sex, they shape everything from the sex you have, how likely people are to want to have sex with you, how likely you are to want to have sex with them, and all of that sort of stuff. So we're going to talk about this map of consciousness, and I'm going to talk about how each of the emotions, or at each level on that map, when you're feeling that particular emotion, how that might affect the way that you view sex, yourself, sexuality in general. And you can sort of look at this video or use this video to sort of see where you might be on the map when it comes to sex and sexuality. So I'm going to show the map here on the screen. Again, you got the high level emotions at the top, and then the ones down the bottom are the ones that we would like to feel a little bit less of. And so for each one, like I said, I'm going to go through and talk about how that might be affecting the way that you view sex and your results and all of that. So as I speak in this video, try and see if you can identify where you might be on the map of consciousness when it comes to sex. So right down the bottom, we have shame. And I'm sure a lot of you can guess, I probably don't have to tell you guys, that there are a lot of human beings on this planet. There are entire countries that view sex through the lens of shame. And along with that is guilt. They're kind of pretty similar. Shame and guilt right down the bottom. And so they will feel bad if they have sex. They will shame other people who have sex. They will use words like fuckboy or slut. They will call it a sin. They will, in some countries, put you to death if you have too much sex or if you have the wrong type of sex. For instance, being gay in certain countries, immediate death sentence if that's found out. In other countries, as a woman, if you are raped, immediate death sentence, and they call that an honor killing. I probably don't have to convince a lot of you that we probably don't want to be walking around with shame and guilt when it comes to sex. A lot of you, however, feel a lot of shame and guilt around sex. I used to. And without even realizing it, it's almost an unconscious thing. That shame and that guilt that you carry around about with sex, like when it comes to sex, is literally holding you back from a lot of you who have these goals of going out and having more sex or meeting some women or getting laid or whatever it might be. The shame and the guilt that you're feeling, that you're carrying around, is a heavy burden that gets in the way. It's a lot harder to have a lot of something if you're ashamed of it. It's hard to have a lot of something if you feel bad when you get a lot of it. People have the same thing with money. In fact, that's something that I have been dealing with for the last 38 years of my life. I have a lot of guilt around money from my childhood. It's something that I'm working with my coach with. We've let go of most of it, but there's still quite a lot there, if I'm honest. So people carry around guilt and shame towards lots of things, especially sex. You got the Christian guilt. You've got all the slut shaming and all of that sort of stuff. And at the end of this video, we're going to talk about how you can start to move up the map of consciousness. So don't stress, there'll be some actionable advice. But the point of this video was more to just get you guys and girls thinking about where you might be on the map of consciousness when it comes to sex, and some beliefs or thoughts. Like, do you have beliefs or thoughts that having too much sex means you're a bad person? What about if it's done in an honest, ethical way? What about if it's done in a way where you genuinely try to add to the lives of the people that you do it with, rather than just trying to get more sex or get laid or get validation? What if you focus on giving? And spoiler alert, that is one of the ways of moving up the map of consciousness, is you stop focusing so much on trying to get all the time. You stop worrying about using people or being used, and you just focus on giving and being generous and being kind and being compassionate and doing it in a way where it adds to the lives of other people. And you focus on sex as a vehicle or a tool to have a beautiful connection with someone, to make their life a little better, to make your life a little better, to share in some beautiful mutual pleasure. All right, back to the map of consciousness. So the very next one above that is apathy. And apathy is basically just saying, I don't care. There are a lot of people on the planet, I would say probably more men, but there's a lot of women too. A lot of people on the planet who've basically given up on romance or sex or dating or relationships. A lot of men who go monk mode or incels or black pill or whatever you want to call it, red pill sometimes even, where they basically just say, women suck, or dating sucks, it's not worth it, sex is too painful, it's too hard, I'm going to give up. And apathy sometimes looks like peace. It sometimes looks like you're peaceful, and it looks like an acceptance of like, yeah, I accept it. And people will often say that, like they will say, yeah, I accept that I'm ugly and no woman's ever going to like me. And that looks like acceptance, but it is only peaceful acceptance when it comes with peace. However, what a lot of people do is they are deep in apathy and almost like a denial of the thing that they want. And they will sit there very frustrated. That's how you know it's apathy rather than peace. A lot of you leave comments sometimes saying, I give up on women, I don't care. And you'll write like 4 paragraphs about why you don't care about women. If you really didn't care, you wouldn't be on a channel talking about how to meet more women and how to have more sex and how to have more abundance. Why would you be on the channel? You'd be busy living your own awesome kick-ass life. You'd be out there going to the gym or building a business or hanging with your friends, playing some video games, whatever it is that brings you joy. You'd be too busy living your life to sit around talking about the thing that you don't supposedly care about. And so apathy is often disguised as peace, but it is not peaceful. We're going to talk about peace a little later. And some people have genuinely found peace with just saying, I don't want to chase sex, or I'm not attached to sex, or I'm not interested in sex. There are plenty of peaceful people out there, but it looks a lot different than the apathy. So apathy is more giving up, but with a sense of frustration. Like, I wish it was different. It sucks. I give up. I hate this. I'm still angry. So I haven't let go of the attachment to the thing, but I've given up on trying to get the thing. So I've let go of trying to take steps to get something, but I haven't let go of actually wanting that thing. And that's a very painful place to sit in, because it feels like you're needing something or wanting something, but you're taking no steps to go towards it. That's hell. That's hopelessness. That's pain. Back to the map of consciousness. The one above that is grief. And a lot of you are sitting in grief. And you'll notice as we start to move up the map of consciousness, each one of these things has a little bit more energy than the ones below it. Or you might say you're a little bit more motivated the higher up on this list you go. Like if you're sitting down in apathy, I think most people would understand that apathy just has less energy than fear. Like if you're walking around afraid that you'll never get enough sex, you are way more likely to actually take action and start to make something happen or start to change something or ask at least one woman on a date, compared to if you're apathetic and depressed, or compared to if you're full of so much shame and guilt that you don't even think to try because you're like, why would I try? I'll just be slut shamed, or I'll be put to death, or I'll be judged, or I'll go to hell. And so the higher we go on this map of consciousness, the more likely we are to get the things that we want, because we simply have more energy. We have more motivation. We want the thing a little more, and we're a little more accepting of it. So fear often seems like a painful place to be in. But I often say to my clients, that fear of missing out, or that insecurity of not being good enough, or that feeling of what if I don't have enough sex, or what if I don't meet any women, or what if I don't build my business, what if I don't have any money, we probably don't want to sit in fear for the rest of our lives. But fear can be a beautiful reason to start working on your goals. Fear and insecurity can be something to be incredibly grateful for, because they are often the catalyst for you starting to take some action, because fear is just underneath desire. And if we look on the map, you see desire just there above fear. And desire literally means admitting to yourself, or maybe to other people, I want this thing. I actually want this thing. And starting to think about it as if it might be something that's potentially possible for you. But to have a desire then imbues us with some energy to start taking action. And that doesn't mean everyone will take action. A lot of people want things but take no action in their entire life. But they're at least at the level of desire where there's a chance they might start taking a baby step. And one step above that is anger. And so anger is where a lot of you are at, where you're frustrated at your dating results, you're angry that women don't like you, or you think women don't like you because you haven't talked to enough of them, you're angry that you feel ugly, or you're angry that you're short, or you're angry that you sit around playing video games all day. Like, there's anger there. And I think we all understand that anger can be very motivating, especially as a man. Anger is a big part of the reason why I, Andy, quit my long-term unhappy relationship. This is like 10 or 11 years ago, and went all in on self-improvement. I was angry at myself for being complacent in life. I was angry at myself for being in an unhappy relationship. I was angry at myself for letting it go on for that many years. I was angry at myself for not having any friends. I was angry at myself for not having any hobbies. I was just angry. I was a very angry man. And I would have spent the first probably 4 weeks of my self-improvement just feeling that anger. I used to scream into a pillow. I used to ball my hands up into fists and like punch my fridge. My refrigerator had all these dents in it. I had this ball of anger inside of me. And yes, anger is not somewhere that we want to sit forever. Anger can be volatile and dangerous to others sometimes. But it is also a beautiful catalyst. And this is why I like to be grateful for it. If any of you are angry about sex or relationships or your goals in general, be grateful for that. It is like the baby step. It is like the baby step before you start taking action. It is so close to taking action. And a lot of you will go and take action purely from anger. The frustration will build up of years of being like an incel, or years of just not having the life you want, years of just doing what other people tell you. And one day it'll just sort of snap and you'll go, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this. I'm so fucking sick of this. I'm going to change something. And then you'll start to take some action. So anger can be beautiful, especially when it comes to sex. Now, try not to have angry sex, but it can be a beautiful motivator to go and start changing your life and then move up the map of consciousness as we're going. The next one above that is pride. And pride is when we start to really take some action. Pride can also be a downfall, which is why a lot of religions focus on pride. You know, pride cometh before the fall, as they say, or Icarus getting too close to the sun. You know, Jesus and people like that saying, be humble. A lot of teachers talk about having humility. I talk about humility a lot in our coaching and in our content. But if you are at the point of pride, which is basically saying, I'm better than this, I deserve more than this, pride is an insanely beautiful motivator. Again, you don't want to sit there for the rest of your life, because pride is based on a false premise that you are better than other people, but it is still a nice place to start with. I started out my self-improvement literally saying, I'm better than this, and I know I can be better than other people. Eventually, like I said, you get to a point where you're like, I'm not better than other people. I've just done some things that they haven't done. They've done some things I haven't done. That doesn't make either one of us better. It's not a comparison game. But at the start, comparing myself and having that pride and that ego really helped me. And you'll notice that a lot of these emotions on this map of consciousness, as I keep saying, they can be very temporary, or we almost want them to be temporary. Like, you don't want to sit in anger for the rest of your life. That's painful. You don't want to sit in ego and pride for the rest of your life. That'll be painful. And a lot of people will try and humble you, and you will get humbled by life. Life is bigger than you. It will humble you. Reality is bigger than you. It will fucking humble you. But it's a very each one of these are a very temporary, very useful place to sort of sit in and use to then move up the map of consciousness, or take some action, or build a better sex life, or build a business, or whatever it is that you guys might have as your goals. And so prideful sex, there can be a lot of love in that. You know, if you're proud of your body, if you're proud of your sexual repertoire, if you're proud of your sexual skills, if you're proud of the act of sex itself, if you're proud of being able to get sex, that can lead to very beautiful sex. Again, you probably don't want to sit in that pride forever and tell yourself that you're God's gift to women and you're the best person on the planet, that is a great temporary place to be in, especially for those of you who've been lower down on the map of consciousness. If you've felt a lot of shame and guilt, you guys being prideful and having a bit of ego would be an insane step up, wouldn't it? I'm sure a lot of you would kill for that. And a lot of therapists, their goal is to literally get you up to pride, and then they'll help you move above that. But like if you go to therapy for just anything in general, like if you're just, I don't know, depressed and you're down in apathy, shame and guilt and a little bit of fear, the therapist wants you to get to the point of being prideful. They want you to think like, yeah, I am top shit. They'd be like, fucking, what a victory this is. This is a huge move up. And then eventually they would introduce some humility and some love and get you to be grateful for other people and accept your place in society and all of that. And when I say that, like, that'll be taken the wrong way. But I think you guys get what I mean, that you're not better than everyone else in society. You are a part of society and we're all in this together and all of that shit. But pride is a beautiful motivator for starting to work on your goals. And one step up above that is courage. Courage is where shit really starts to change. Courage is the beautiful part. Courage is where you start to tell the truth and you start to have the courage to be honest. Honest with yourself, honest with other people, honest with the women that you would like to sleep with, honest with your friends, honest with us in the comments, down below, honest with me and other coaches and therapists. Courage is when shit really starts to change. Courage is when you say, okay, there are some things that I want and I'm going to start admitting them to people, which is just telling the truth. I'm going to tell people that I want this thing and I'm going to have the courage to start taking some baby steps. I'm going to have the courage to ask for help and to listen. I'm going to have the courage to be a bit more humble. Again, moving up from pride to courage requires a little bit of humility. I am going to go out there and talk to that girl that I see. I'm going to go on the dating apps, even though I don't think I'm good enough. I'm going to take some better pictures. I'm going to work on my photography or work on my style or work on my body or whatever it is. Courage is when stuff really starts to change. There are entire countries built on courage. Things like the US military and I guess other militaries are built on courage, a little bit of pride too, but a lot of courage. Like you can get a lot of things done with just courage alone. Entire businesses can be built just on courage. Courage is incredibly, incredibly useful. The type of sex that you would have if you were sitting in courage is you would have the courage to be honest and vulnerable with a woman and say, hey, my dick isn't working tonight. Let's try other things. You'd have the courage to say, what's on your sexual bucket list? Here's some things on mine. Let's try some things. You'd have the courage to work on your sexual skills instead of being so prideful. And this is one of the downsides of pride is if we're stuck in pride, we say, I am good enough as I am right now. I'm the best. I don't need to improve. Courage is having the courage or the bravery to say, what can I do better? And you would share that with your lover. And so the sex that you have when you're in courage is open. It's non-judgmental. You're trying new things. It's kinky. It's beautiful. It's loving. It's all of those things. You're experimenting and having the courage to improve. Courage is when self-improvement really starts. Below that, self-improvement is quite difficult. You can obviously still improve. Your mission is to rise up the map of consciousness and get to courage. In other words, to be a little bit more courageous. If you're down in apathy, your job is to slowly move up to like fear, like aren't you afraid of not having the life you want? And then maybe anger, aren't you angry that you don't have the life you want? And then up to desire, don't you want a better life? Don't you want more sex? Don't you want abundance? Don't you want to have a good time? Then up to pride, like aren't you good enough to do that? Come on, you're better than this. And then courage is where you really, 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 really start to get out there and take action. So courage is where you go from being the guy who says, oh, I've talked to some women, like, why don't women want me? And I say, how many women have you approached in your life? And you say, 10. Courage is where you go, okay, you know what? I'm going to go out there and talk to 100 women over the next couple of weeks or months. I'm going to go out there and really just give it my all. And then I'll talk to 100 more women. And even if I'm scared, I'm going to do it anyway. And if I can't do it, then I'll do an approach anxiety program. If I can't do that, I'll pay Andy for coaching, or I'll find a cheaper coach, or I'll do it for free or whatever. I will do what needs to be done and I will make it happen. That's courage. Above that is neutrality. And neutrality is often mistaken for apathy, which remember is something that was much lower down. Neutrality is basically stating things as they are, exactly as they are. So not in a war, or not saying it like, it's men versus women, or this girl rejected me, I got brutally rejected. You're letting go of all of that and you're just stating things as they are. So you walk up to a woman and she says, no, thank you, I have a boyfriend. If you're in neutrality, you will literally phrase it like that, as in, I walked up to a girl, she said she had a boyfriend, I left. No extra story of I got brutally rejected. No story of I'm better than this, fuck this bitch, like I deserve better. No story of like, I need to be bold, I'm going to go out there and do another one. You just simply state things as they are. It's almost like a complete and utter autistic way of viewing the world, which is why I talk about autism as a very positive trait. If you go around just being autistically honest and autistically neutral, man, you eliminate 95% of suffering in life, especially if we're going to talk in sex and relationships. If you just state things as they are and stop adding your own opinion on top or your own commentary on top or your own negativity on top, man, life would go so much easier. Again, a lot of you get very caught up because you're lower down on the map, and that's not a judgment. That's okay. Wherever you are on the map is completely okay. Maybe I could have said that earlier, but a lot of you are sort of stuck down in the anger or the fear or the shame or the guilt, and you will walk up to a woman and hit on her and she'll say no, and then you'll call that a brutal rejection. Instead of just saying it neutrally, I hit on a girl, she said no thank you, I left. Just stating the facts only. And again, if you can go through life just stating the facts, it's almost like an extreme version of like stoicism, like a very extreme version of stoicism, where you're just like, here are the facts. Man, life is so much easier. Above that is willingness, which seems like courage, but is a more, courageous, a more intense version, a more accepting version of courage, where you're like, whatever needs to be done, I will do it. Courage is saying, I'm going to go out there and do it. Like it's got a lot of energy. Willingness is almost like a complete letting go and almost a surrender, where you're like, yeah, whatever needs to be done, I'll just do it. If I need to go and approach 200 women, cool. How do I make that happen? What do I have to do? If I need to improve myself and lose 50 pounds, sweet. Let me go find a diet. Let me Google or ask ChatGPT, what do I need to do? So willingness is very much playing to win. I have a video course called Playing to Win, which, by the way, I talk about the map of consciousness and a lot of other things in that. There's a link down below where you can grab that. And playing to win is just the ultimate willingness. You're saying, what do I need to do to win? Rather than bitching and moaning and saying, it's not fair, this sucks, why did this happen? It's just, cool, what do I need to do to win? What do I need to change? What do I need to improve? What action do I need to take? What's the next baby step? Tell me what to do and I'll do it. And if no one can tell me what to do, I'll just try a bunch of different things and see what happens. So willingness is like a complete and utter acceptance of the fact that you are probably going to have to take some action to have the things you want. And willingness is just that voice inside you that says, yeah, fuck it, whatever I need to do, I will do. The step above that, or the level above that, is acceptance. Acceptance is the peaceful version of apathy. So for some people, acceptance is a true, deep acceptance that they're just not super sexual. And they go, cool, I don't really care about sex. I'm super happy. I'm going to go out and live my life. And they live their life instead of sitting around complaining. That's not acceptance. That's apathy. That's grumpiness. That's frustration. That's anger. But acceptance says, whatever, my life is beautiful. Acceptance in a sexual context, like if you're a sexual person or you want lots of sex, would look like, I go and talk to this many women and then I sleep with one every 3 weeks and it's beautiful. Or I have my partner and we have sex every week and that's absolutely beautiful. Acceptance is accepting the current reality and almost loving the reality, but it's more of like an acceptance. Again, hence the word acceptance. The level above that is reason, or you might call that logic, or you might call that rationality. And a lot of you think that you're being reasonable, or a lot of us think that we're being reasonable. We think we're being rational. We think we're being logical, but we're really just being emotional as hell. We'll write like a 4-paragraph essay about how women suck and they're the problem and all of this. And we'll say somewhere in there, I'm just being logical. And it's like, no, my beautiful friend, you don't know what logic is. Well, you know what logic is, but in this moment, you don't know what logic is. You're being very, very angry and emotional. This is not logic. Logic is stating the facts as they are, not your emotions. Logic is without emotion. Reason is without your opinion. And so reason in sex would be to really start understanding things, to start understanding yourself, sexually, to start understanding the opposite gender sexually, to start understanding why women will sometimes be flaky, to start understanding why guys like to chase sex, to start understanding why some women will feel some resistance towards having sex with you at the last minute, instead of just judging it and being like, oh, this bitch just last minute pushed my hand away and for some reason didn't want to fuck me. I'm sick of being rejected. That's not rational. Rational would be to say to her, hey, what's going on? Like, you pushed my hand away. Is everything okay? Like, I'd love to hear the reason. I'd love to hear the logic. I'd love to hear what you're feeling. And then to start to understand. Reason and rationality is when we really start to understand things on a deep level. And I'm sure you can imagine you have a lot more sex when you understand how sex works, how women work, how men work, how yourself works, how the human brain works, how psychology works, how society works, how sexual relationships work. All of that stuff, the more logic and reason you have there, the more likely you are to succeed because you stop judging stuff. You stop getting frustrated. You stop getting angry. You stop judging women and you start asking for answers or knowledge or information. You start to treat the other gender like they're on the same team as you. And you literally say, I would like to understand this. It's when you start to ask questions and understand. A lot of you, like I said, are in the stages, and this is okay, but you're in the stages of just being frustrated with dating, frustrated with women, frustrated with sex, frustrated with yourself. Or in other contexts, maybe you're frustrated with business. You're frustrated with your body not losing weight as quickly as you would like to. You're just angry. But if you can move yourself up to reason and start to be a little bit more logical, you'll then start to ask questions. You'll Google it, you'll ask ChatGPT, you'll hit me up for coaching, you'll ask other people, you say, what do I need to do to change? Like, give me more knowledge. I understand that this is just a knowledge problem. Every single one of you is capable of all of the goals and hopes and dreams that you have. You just don't know the information yet. You don't have the knowledge. You have a knowledge deficit. You have a reason deficit, like a logic deficit. And if you would just have the knowledge, then you'd be able to go out and do the thing. And so the more or the quicker you can move yourself to that level of being reasonable and rational and just saying, okay, tell me what I'm missing. Please help me understand. The better your sex life will be, the better your life in general will be, and you will have better sex. Because instead of being very emotional and closed off when it comes to sex and your sexual partners, you will start to freely share information with them in a very reasonable, rational, logical way. You'll simply tell people the honest truth because it's the truth. You'll ask them for the truth, and you'll be ridiculously honest and upfront in dating and sex and relationships. And they will go 10,000 times easier for you because you won't sit there being irrational, calling things brutal rejections and being like, oh my God, like this bitch doesn't want to see me because she's a bitch. Like, no, you'll say, hey, I understand you don't want to see me anymore. That's beautiful. I'm working on myself and I'm trying to gain as much knowledge as I can and all of that. Would you mind letting me know why? And no hard feelings, like I'd love the truth. And you'll start to learn. Reason is when you really start to learn and understand. And I'm sure you can imagine if you had more knowledge, which is what a lot of you want, you would be more confident. Your sex life would be better. Your life in general would be better. Everything would be better. The level above that, ladies and gentlemen, is one of my favorite levels. The level of love. Love is when you really, really, really start to make waves in the world. Your sex life improves like you could not even imagine. If you can start to have love and reverence and appreciation and gratitude for the act of sex itself, for the partner that you are currently with, no matter what they look like, if you can start to be non-judgmental and love everything they say, if they yell at you and you can find a way to love that, that doesn't mean you have to tolerate it, but if you can find a way to love that that's where they're currently at, and then give yourself some space without judgment, without saying that they're a bad person, without calling everything a red flag, if you can start to really love yourself and love your body and love the way you look and love the fact that sometimes your penis doesn't get hard and that's okay, and love the fact that sometimes you're insecure in the bedroom and you lack confidence and it's a bit messy and it's a little bit awkward and everything would be okay. If you can really just start to love everything, and that takes time. It took me quite a few years of working on this, like literally all the time. It was my number one goal. And I'm still not 100% there yet. But if you can really start to love and have appreciation for and gratitude for everything when it comes to sex, instead of shame or guilt or fear or frustration or anger, My God, the sex that you have is 10 billion times better, 10 billion times easier, because people can see that you're safe to open up around. They can see that you're someone that loves themselves, and that gives them permission to love you too. A lot of you are so desperate to be loved, and that's okay. That's part of the human condition. And I say to you, do you love yourself? And you say, what the fuck does that even mean? And I gently try and say, if you don't love yourself, why would you expect someone else to? If you don't even like yourself, if you walk around saying that you're ugly or too short or a piece of shit or you're not good enough or you're unworthy, why should some woman come along and just suddenly like you or love you? Isn't that a little bit hypocritical? Aren't you asking other people to do the thing that you're not willing to do yourself, that you think you don't even deserve, which is to love yourself? You think you're unworthy, you call yourself unworthy, and then you expect a woman to just come in and say the opposite? And even if she did come in and tell you that you're worthy, why would you believe her? You think you're too ugly, so why would you believe some woman telling you that you're attractive? You think you're too short, so why would you believe some woman telling you that you're the perfect height? You think she's blind, or you think she's an idiot. Why would you believe it? And so you push away all the opportunities. And a lot of you really struggle in sex, dating, relationships, and life in general, because you're not at the point of love yet. And that's okay. That's a mission that we're all working on liking ourselves a little bit more, and maybe one day loving ourselves, working on loving humanity a little bit, working on loving our jobs, or if we don't like our jobs, we can work somewhere else and love that job. We're all working towards a little bit more love, and its accompaniment, joy, which is just above love on this map of consciousness, as you can see. And so if you're able to feel a little bit more love and joy when it comes to sex, relationships, yourself, like I said, the sex you have will be 10,000 times better. You will have it 10,000 times easier. You will be a safer, less judgmental, more open-minded person that people feel comfortable opening up around and having sex with quicker, because it's really hard to have sex with the person who's super fucking judgmental. It still happens, obviously, there's a lot of judgmental people in the world, but you make it a lot easier on yourself if you're able to have love for yourself and for your partner. And the sex itself is better, because you'll love every kink. Doesn't mean you want to do it, but you'll love that the person expressed it with you, and then they'll feel more comfortable opening up about their other kinks. You will love every little thing they do. You will fall in love with their body, and you will take their time, and you will worship their body, and you'll worship your own body, and you'll invite them to worship your body. You guys will appreciate every single little thing, the sound of their moans, the sound of their breath, the way their body moves, how beautiful they look when their body arches or their back arches. You will say that to them. You will be a more generous and giving lover. You will want them to orgasm more. You will want yourself to orgasm more. You will want to have deeper conversations. You will want to have deeper, more intimate, more connected sex. Everything improves if you can move yourself up to love. Everything does. Even the conversations that you have when you go outside to talk to women, they'll say, no, thank you, I'm not interested. And you'll say, beautiful, thank you for saving me time by telling me you're not interested. I hope you have a beautiful day. And they'll go, thank you, that's nice of you. You'll walk up to some woman and she'll say, I have a boyfriend. I hit on 12 girls yesterday, and something like 8 of them said I had a boyfriend. And to each one of them, I said, I hope you guys are really happy together, or that's beautiful, or congrats, I'm happy for you. There was even one girl who was engaged, and she went like this, and she showed me her wedding ring. And I was like, oh my God, fucking congrats, that's so cool. And she was like, thank you, I'm excited. And I was like, holy shit, when are you guys getting married? She's like, we're getting married in a few years. And I was like, all right, you're taking your time, I get it, I respect it. Building up to it, yeah, making sure it's a great wedding, beautiful. She's like, yeah, we're saving up money. And I was like, that's so cool. And so if you can fall in love with everything in this process, the process of walking up to a woman, the process of going on dates, the process of sex and connection and sharing, the process of cuddling afterwards, the sex itself, the fact that sometimes your dick doesn't work, and sometimes her pussy doesn't get wet, and sometimes she struggles to orgasm, sometimes you guys are tired and stressed. If you can fall in love with all of that, it makes this process 10,000 times more fun, and you will take 10,000 times more action. You will be someone who just becomes sex itself. You will embody sex. You will embody love. You will have such a loving presence that people won't even understand what the fuck is going on when they meet you, but they'll just know that they feel something really cool, and they'll look at you differently. They will act differently around you, and the sex that you have will be mind-blowingly beautiful. And even if it's not mind-blowingly, that was a difficult word to say, even if it's not mind-blowingly beautiful, you will love it anyway. You will love that sometimes it's stressful, sometimes you're tired, sometimes she or he is tired. You will love all of it. You will have more sex, and the sex will be more fulfilling. and your partners will be more fulfilled, and they will try harder to fulfill you too. Above love is joy, peace, and enlightenment. And I sort of put all of those together. They're very much the extreme versions of love. We're talking here about unconditional love. And I've already hinted at it. I've already talked about it. If you're able to love the fact that sometimes your penis doesn't get hard, if you're able to love the fact that sometimes women say no to you, if you're able to love the fact that sometimes they might be a little bit rude to you, because think about it, them being rude to you helps you appreciate the people who are very kind to you. So maybe that person's doing you a fucking favor when they're very rude to you. I know a lot of your egos do not want to hear that. But if you're able to have unconditional love for every step of this journey, every step of this process, every step of this sexual experience from beginning to the end, I don't think I have to tell you that you'll take more action. You will go out there and have more fulfilling sex and relationships and dating and all of that. Everything will improve. And if any of you ever get to the point of enlightenment, let me know. I'm not there yet, but leave a comment below and tell me how enlightened you are, because that's definitely the most enlightened thing anyone could ever say. I am enlightened. But yeah, this was a little journey through the map of consciousness. And wherever you are on that map is perfectly beautiful for this moment in time. I started out as someone who was deep in shame and guilt. I had so much shame and guilt, you guys, when it comes to sex, when it comes to everything, really. I was just so full of guilt, shame, fear, self-hatred, self-loathing, apathy, depression. I just slowly moved up that map of consciousness to joy, to love, and all of that. And it's a journey, guys. And sometimes you will go back down. You know, sometimes old thought patterns or old beliefs or limiting beliefs will creep back in and you go, oh shit, casual sex is bad. Or, oh shit, having sex in general is bad. Or, oh shit, I'm a slut. Oh shit, I'm a fuckboy. Like, it's okay for those old thought patterns to come back in. The only goal here is to make progress, not perfection. As for how to actually move up the map of consciousness, there are a million ways. I've already hinted at it a lot. Really just starting to be less judgmental is one. Doing daily gratitude is another. Writing a list of 50 ways that sex can be a beautiful thing will really help. Like how it can be a beautiful thing for you, for your partner, for everyone that you do it with. Focusing on what I call giving value, which is where you're trying to really give a great experience to the other person. You want to make them feel good during sex or before sex or after sex. You know, like the women that I hit on, if they say, I have a boyfriend, I'm trying to make them have a really beautiful experience anyway. I say, beautiful, I hope you guys are really happy together. If some girl tells me to fuck off, which is so rare, then I'll say, I understand, I hope you have a nice day, and I will leave. If some girl wants to talk to me and, you know, she's into me, then I will try and have the best conversation that we possibly can. Also giving myself permission not to be perfect at it, but I'm trying to give value. When I take someone to the bedroom, I'm asking them, what do you want? What would be a good experience for you? And here's some of the things that would be a good experience for me. Maybe we can share that with each other. I am constantly trying to leave everyone better than I found them. There's a quote that I love from Mother Teresa who said, spread love wherever you go. Let nobody come to you without leaving a little bit better off. So if you have that mindset in dating and sex, that is already more than enough to start moving you up the map of consciousness. I also have, like I hinted at before, the Play to Win video course. There's a link down below in the description. And I literally have an entire section on the map of consciousness and how to move up. And the entire Play to Win video course is about how to have more sex, how to have more relationships, how to have more money, how to have more abundance in your life, how to be more grateful for it, how to share that with other people. It's basically a self-improvement manual and very much goes through the process of figuring out what your goals are, setting those goals, what to do when you have setbacks, what to do when you're afraid to even start taking action, how to be grateful and appreciate every step of that journey, how to be grateful for the progress that you make, how to really celebrate your wins, and then how to give back to other people. It's like the beginning to the end. So there's a link down below to that. That's probably the best thing you could do to help with this. But yeah, this is all just practice, guys. And the quicker or the more you move up this map of consciousness, the more you're going to have that beautiful, amazing sex. You're going to take more action. You're going to talk to more girls, or for you girls out there, you're going to talk to more guys if that's what you're into. You know, you're going to feel more confident and sure of yourself. And if you want the ultimate help with this, obviously that's where the coaching is for. Right now, I have a coaching deal on where it's 50% off for one-on-one coaching with me. There's only one slot left of this and then I'm done. I'm probably not going to do one-on-one coaching in the future because it's a lot of time. I really love it. but it does take a lot of time. So there's a link down below to that. It's 50% off. We have payment plans if you need one. I'm happy to jump on a free call with you and talk that through with you. We also have an affordable coaching program called the Abundance Collective. There's a link down below to that. That's $200 a month. There's already, I think, 30 people in there absolutely crushing it. We only built this thing like 4 or 5 months ago. It's already like absolutely going crazy in there. So if you would like to join a bunch of other people that are achieving goals, check that out down below. All right, ladies, gentlemen, you're all doing a fantastic job. Go out there, keep working on yourselves, move up this map of consciousness. And I promise, you are worthy of having really beautiful, amazing, kick-ass, legendary sex.